All right, happy days. Right? All clear. Executive producer. So you're giving him a title now too. He quite likes it. It's fancy.
Big tough guy now. Big tough guy.
Hello and welcome to the CS Duplessis Show. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a special occasion, our 50th episode, half a century. And a big shout out to our partners at Betway. Please check out betway.co.za as well as the Betway Scores app for all the sporting scores that you need. Now, he is a man who has played 86 test matches for South Africa. He's captained the side. He's got 14 tons and over 5,000 test runs for South Africa. His name's Dean Elgar. He joins us on the 50th show. Ladies and gentlemen, it really is a privilege and an honor to have you in studio, bud. Thanks for making the trip. I know your 88 Ford Escort took some strain on the way here, but you made it.
Bit of a drive, I must say. Thanks for having me, firstly, CS. It's been something that we've been speaking about for a while to get me on the show, and finally, left nice and early this morning.
Appreciate it.
And as Gauteng people, they never fail to disappoint when it comes to driving when it's a little bit overcast. And it took me about an hour and a half to get you. So
skills go out the window.
Everything
temperamental,
goes.
That sort of thing.
All you need is a couple of raindrops on the windscreen, and then people just forget.
It doesn't even have to be hard, eh?
No. But yeah, I am. Yeah, and
appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
Listen, congrats on an incredible career, man. I think you've been one of those guys that's been an incredible servant for South Africa through thick and thin. And there's been thick and thin. We'll get into that. But I think if I look back to when you started your test career, because you actually played an ODI before you made your test career, right?
Played a whole series.
Exactly.
ODI. People forget that.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you got your infamous pair, and someone had told you after that you would play 86 tests and score 14 tons, I think you would have snapped their arm off.
I just got chills now when you mentioned that. Also coming from a platland dorpie in the Free State and being given 86 opportunities to represent your country at the test format. I mean, bit of my both arms off. I think I would have taken that. But I've had quite a interesting journey over the 12 years with the Proteas and representing South Africa. And I think you reach a stage in your career when I think you've kind of maxed out and potentially fulfilled everything that you've dreamt of. I would have liked to have notched up a few more hundreds. I think I left a few out there.
14 is nothing to sneeze at.
I think I left a few out there. I would have liked to be a little bit closer to 20, but in saying that, button both arms off to have that opportunity.
Take us back to where your cricket sort of journey started. And I know this is a cliche that everyone asks, and forgive me, but I would like to share it with you guys and Dean to share it with you guys. But Velkom, back in the day, how did you sort of get into cricket and who sort of influenced you at the time? Was there someone you looked up to? Because, and we'll get to this later on, you played with some gun cricketers over the years. I mean, looking at your debut, the test lineup, you batted 6. And there was a certain guy called Callis Amla Smith.
Yeah.
There was some proper players.
Yeah, I think if they put their mind to it, they would have made a serious career out of this game, those guys.
Only they're taking it seriously.
Yeah, if only they just took it a little bit more seriously, they would have made a serious career out of that. But the journey basically started like every backyard young cricketer, right? So you play backyard cricket with your brother and your neighbour. That's how mine started. I was a lot younger than them. My brother and I have a 6.5 year gap. So obviously the age gap, it was quite big. And I think with the neighbour it was even bigger. So I think they had to soften down the backyard cricket for me. But I recall I must have been about 3 years old when I picked up the bat for the first time. And as every second born is, you're never going to take you out, and I try to make life quite tough for them to try and get me out. Even though when I was out, I was refusing.
There's no walking in those days.
No, there was no official umpire either in the backyard. But those were my earliest kind of memories. I think every cricketer goes through that stage, and I think that's your initial phase of getting the knack and actually starting to enjoy the game, even though it's a very young age. Those are my first memories of that. And growing up in Velkom, that's all we really had to do. I wasn't I mean, we had a very good network of friends around us at the time.
Well, it's a mining mainly there. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got family from Cyprus. Can you believe it? Virginia.
Wow, that's
So,
just there.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Not
just
the
there.
same anymore.
Yeah, you maybe shouldn't have mentioned that.
Probably.
Yes,
I said family.
I think you've taken down the show's credibility a little bit now.
Ray, just edit that out if you.
Hey, keep it in. Yeah, so I mean, it's also when you go into primary school and that when you're 6 years old, you first start experiencing it in a team kind of dynamic. And I can't say cricket was my first love. I played every sport under the sun, whether it was cricket, soccer, athletics. I played very competitive squash going into my high school phases, primary school into high school. So cricket wasn't really my first love.
Okay.
I kind of just picked up, if it was a racket or a ball at my feet, I'd be able to play the sport, even with athletics. Pretty good track athlete. So yeah, I think the
short sprints, long distance.
No, short sprints. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the length of my legs. They're not going to hold out for 1.5 or 3K. So at high pace. So yeah, I think just being exposed to all the different sports as a young kid, it's kind of. I think it also boiled down to a lot of genetics that I had. My dad was obviously a semi-pro soccer player. My mom was a dancer. So I think the sport culture was very much within the blood of our family. My brother was also a very good sportsman as well. So
It's in the blood. It's in the DNA.
it was in the DNA, and whether I was on the side of the field watching my older butt play, or I was playing, or on the squash court, whatever case is, I was always in and around sport every day. And I think as time went on, I had to obviously choose in the high school because I picked up some serious knee injuries because of squash. I was a lot better squash player than a cricketer, let me just tell you that.
Okay.
Got my colours in that as well, and I had to choose between squash and cricket as time went on, and obviously went the cricket route.
I think it's worked out okay.
It was okay,
You know,
yeah.
squash, I mean,
think it was
it's-
alright, yeah.
Quite prestigious.
Yeah.
All due respect to squash, but I think 86 Test has a better ring to it.
Yeah, not too bad. Well, maybe world number 5 in squash also doesn't have a bad ring to it, but I'm kind
Gee,
of.
so that's serious. I mean, that was potentially an option for you.
It was. I think I was more going over to the squash the route, but I picked up 2 knee injuries when I was 16, and I had to choose between the 2 sports, and obviously cricket was the only other one. I wasn't going to make it as a soccer player, let's be honest. I've got a bit of talent there, but not near the talent that you need to make it at that level. I wasn't going to play rugby because I'm tiny, and I don't know if you've seen those rugby players now.
That makes no sense to run around there.
Yeah, I'm not going to get smashed by these big Afrikaans oaks, and because if they see a small English oak there, they're going to come for you
Big target,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I was like, nah. But yeah, then I had to obviously make the choice of between the 2, and I obviously went the cricket route. And I think for my later stages in high school, I obviously committed quite big time into
That
cricket.
was in Bloem, right?
No, this was still in Welkom.
Okay, all right.
It was still in Welkom at St. Dominic's College.
Okay.
It used to be known as CBC, Christian Brothers College. I was there for 11 years.
That's why you're such a good boy.
Yeah.
Well behaved.
Yeah, it must be. I was just about to say, don't use the CBC as a background for me. But yeah, and then, like, you got to choose your summer and winter sport. I had no interest in any other winter sport, and I used the winter period to practice.
Okay.
And obviously play in the summertime. And also being exposed to playing club cricket at a young age in Welkom. I think I was thrown into the deep end there when I was about 13 or 14 years old, where you had to start playing senior cricket at club level, and it was quite a strong club level at that time, because the Free State cricketers, the pros, they used to come and play in Welkom. Each team had to get 2, and I remember it was Gerardus Liebenberg and I can't remember the other dude. Oh, it was Devil Pretorius.
Okay.
They both played Test cricket
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
going to say they were pretty good cricketers.
So I mean, we were exposed to some really good cricket at that stage, even though I wasn't taking it as seriously as what I did from 16 onwards. So that was my
Were you
my
at the top of the
exposure.
order?
I can't even remember, but I remember I was still scoring runs and dominating the senior guys at that stage, and I absolutely hated it. As you could expect, in Welkom, you're playing against some Afrikaans adults there, and they like, yes, we're gonna kill this youngster today kind of vibe. And I did everything in my power and my little body that I could try and keep them at bay, and it seemed to work out.
And then, obviously, from 16 on, I suppose you started taking serious your cricket career. Did you have ambition at that point to, represent South Africa, or sort of what was that next step? Because a lot of talented kids get to 16, 17, and then the cricket kind of falls away for them once they finish school.
So when I was 16, I was selected for the Free State Senior Country District side, and I think I was one of maybe 3 schoolboys to be picked in that side. And we played a interprovincial tournament in Kimberley, and I was actually selected in the South African senior men's side after that. And then I think I sort of got like the feeling of, maybe I could make a career of this, and maybe I need to really devote and spend time in getting better at this game. And the rest is history. Yes, selected for that side, the SA Country Districts men's side. We were supposed to tour to Argentina, but I decided that's when I was still playing squash, to go the squash route. Missed the Argentina tour to play interprovincial squash, the IPT. I think it was in Port Elizabeth. Did pretty well there. Got my colours for that. And then I had to obviously give the squash game up. And then, I only had one thing to fall back on. So I thought, hey, maybe let's give it a crack. And, later on in that year, I was selected into the Nuffield, the Coca-Cola Week Free State under 18 side. Not a bad effort for a standard 8 guy to be selected in that.
Not at all, cheapers.
Especially a non-Grey College guy.
I was about to say.
That team was dominated by the Grey College first team players, and I was, I think, maybe one of only 2 non-Bloemfontein guys in that side.
St Andrews also there, hey?
Yeah,
They have a few decent cricketers that come
but I don't think they were as decent as the Grey College side at that time. So I was obviously exposed to that level. I was a lot younger than the guys. You'd think between standard 8 and matric, there's not a big gap. There's quite a big gap, and I did pretty well at the Kai Majola Coke Week at that time. I was in Durban. I was selected in the SA Colts team. You get your SA Schools and your SA Colts. So the Colts is the team just below that. I was selected in the Colts side, and I thought, well,
maybe I can get a go.
Things are starting to work out here for me. I might have to commit a little bit harder, and that's where I really started practicing my arse off to get to where I am.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time in the nets with my old man, with my schoolboy coach, I still chat to today.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, he still messages me before every game, Louis Klopper. He watched me in my second last test in Centurion, which was nice to have him there, and his son there, and his wife. Nice to have them come and watch me play.
And you scored a few runs there from my mistake. You got a pretty good 100 and plus.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, look at me,
more.
coach.
A little bit more. Yeah, it was cool to have them there. They saw me get the 150 and that, which was quite nice. But then, that was just part of the latter part of the journey. And then I committed hard to try and become a better player. Yeah. Worked hard on my fitness. I was a little bit overweight because I stopped playing squash. I put on about 16 kgs, which wasn't ideal.
Not ideal, no.
So I was like a walking around little pork banger sausage there at school, and I had to work
But
really.
you could play though. So it was
yeah, but I could only play for a short period of time because I was getting out of breath, so...
No, not 3.
Today we're just going to hit boundaries and run ones. And I think the rest is history, and just committed really hard in getting better as a schoolboy cricketer. Dominated schoolboy cricket from there on out. Did really well, standard 9. Got into the Coke side. Missed the schools, being SA Schools. I missed out that year. Didn't have a very good tournament, but then come matric. Captain the Free State under 19 side. First guy ever that wasn't a Grey College dude. which is quite nice to get like another one up on them.
Absolutely.
Had a really good Coke week and got selected as SS Schools captain and S under 19 captain to the World Cup. Yeah, and I think the rest has just been such a great journey, and it's needless to say, it doesn't come about just by pitching up and playing. A lot of people don't understand my backstory about what I had to do to develop my skill, to develop my mental sharpness and mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. So everything had a role to play in that period between 16 and 18, and obviously leaving school was another eye-opener for me.
Also, at 16, what do you actually know? You know what I mean? I mean, it's at 16 you think you know it all.
No.
But for you to then sort of realize that I've got some growing up to do here, and that I can forge a career, and have to work on the mental side of it, because I think a lot of young, talented cricketers don't pay any attention to mental toughness.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a pressure situation, they've been beaten outside off stump, or it's real pace, or they're bowling and getting smashed. There is that mental fortitude that has to be worked on from as early as 16, maybe even earlier.
Yeah, I think even earlier. I think me being exposed to senior club cricket when I was 13, 14 was already the first foundation of developing that mental fortitude or toughness, or whatever you want to use it, whatever slogan you want to use to attach it to. So I don't think a lot of people understand the whole dynamic behind that. And when you're 16, you think you know everything, but you actually know absolutely nothing. And so all of that was a great makeup in developing me as the dude to leave school, the young protege player to leave school, just captain S under 19. You think you know everything when you in matric, and now you're going into the big bad world.
Yeah, you're the top dog at matric.
Hey man, I mean, you think
you
think your shit doesn't stink then, eh? And then you realize when you leave school, it's like, oh wow, okay. Even though it's a move from Welkom to Bloem, it's still quite a massive jump, and it's also the first time you're leaving home, where you actually have to look after yourself for the first time. And I was also going through a phase where my folks were we can't afford you to have another year at school. We need to get you through school year. I mean, the fact that you've already made it to matric, and it's touching if you're going to pass or not, because my schooling started from 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
That's when I really started committing to it. When I could put my sporting kit on and then excel
from 12
after that.
Down, it wasn't so.
From Hopper 7 to 12, it was very much a blur.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, you're not the only one, that's for sure. But it's interesting. You said with the captaincy of the under 19, the World Cup sort of thing. Was that sort of captaincy leaderships where you saw yourself as someone who would take responsibility? Because as I've watched you throughout your international career, and I've been fortunate to work quite closely with you, your time at the Titans, you take the responsibility. And I think you're the type of guy that almost enjoys that additional pressure. I mean, let's be honest, opening the batting is the toughest job in cricket, regardless of the level.
Yeah.
Just tends to ramp up a little bit as you get towards Test cricket. But it strikes me as someone from even that under 19, you enjoyed that extra responsibility and that management type of role.
I think that started early doors, even from schoolboy cricket. Always wanted to be the guy that puts out the big performances, whether it was with bat in hand or ball in hand, because I used to be a bowler. I was a prolific seam bowler at that time.
Jeepers.
I used to be unbelievably fast there.
Probably 145 clicks, and the knees probably didn't help.
But also, I think we were playing off 15 meters, which did help. I think that all you don't understand it back then, but I think it was always like good characteristics to have. And as a youngster, you don't understand that really. I just wanted to be the dude that scores all the runs, takes all the wickets, takes all the catches. But at the end of the day, there's also 10 other oaks to do that with you. But leading from the front was always something that I wanted to do, even from playing senior club cricket at a young age. I still wanted to dominate the batting order, even though there were amazing batsmen within our side, and I was very much the junior. I still wanted to go out and perform, irrespective of what level I was playing or what age group I was playing. But I think that all ties in with upbringing and making or setting yourself those standards, which I still live by them today, is pretty high standards. And I think sometimes you let yourself down because the standards are so high, but I'd rather have too high standards than no standards at all.
100%.
Even though you fail, I mean, failure is so much part of this journey. It's 80% of this journey that you're going to fail. And I'm going back to 14. So we're looking at a 22-year career, essentially.
Yeah.
It's all part of the makeup. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the road that kind of paves you into one day making a profession out of it. And that's maybe something you don't realize as a youngster. And when I failed at a young age, it was like the end of the world kind of vibes, you know. And luckily I had folks that would really make me snap out of it very quickly. My dad played, like I said, semi-pro football at a decent level. Still had to work a 8-to-5 job though. But I think he kind of he installed a lot of those qualities of discipline and work ethic, and if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it kind of mentality. And without even knowing it, without even saying it directly, that was kind of like in the personality, in the character already. And as I got older, those things were just fine-tuned a little bit, and you maybe change your standards and you set your bar a little bit higher. But in saying that, the foundations were already slowly but surely.
They've been laid.
They've been laid without even knowing that.
Yeah. And I think that's why there was a photo of you and the family in your final test, if I'm not mistaken. That was.
The one where Citizen cocked up. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
You said it.
I will say it. I will say it. That wasn't a very good moment for them, no.
No, it wasn't. But I think what I'm trying to get to is not so much the blunder, but more the surreal moment of having the people around you. I mean, I know Centurion was special because you had a lot of people come to the game, watch you there. But that final Newlands test, even though the result didn't go your way, that was end of a chapter, and you could still share with the people around you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, Newlands was only basically my missus, my dad, and my stepmom. But Centurion, it was my close friends, my friends from Velkom and Pretoria, my brother and them that came over from the UK to visit. So him and his wife and my two nieces. I think that for me was a lot more special because more eyes that have been supportive roles, they could witness it and be there for it. Where Cape Town was only 3 people really, but it was still nice to have them there. Don't get me wrong, it was still a nice moment. And I mean, at Newlands, I mean, you could put a black bag down and it will be special because it's Newlands.
Absolutely,
Newlands is Newlands. It's amazing.
Was it? I mean, when I know the test didn't go your way, and when it came to an end and India won, was it and you were very emotional, was it because you realized that baggy green, that was the last time you would wear it, in a capacity as a South African player?
I think what people don't realize is that I made a decision after our West Indies series, which ended last year, February, beginning March, that I was done. I was actually done then. Knowing that there's an Indian series coming up at the end of the year, but the fixtures were the fixtures were, I think they were supposed to be Durban and PE, and I thought, those aren't really my stadiums. And then, I'm not a big social media person. I don't follow stuff, and for me, it's a waste of energy and a waste of time, and I don't see the point of it. And my missus came to me and said to me, "Geez, have you seen they announced the fixtures for the Indian series?" I was like, "No." And she said, "It's Centurion and Cape Town."
Oh, cheapers. Those are your grounds.
And I said to her, I clocked out.
Yeah.
I clocked. There's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that really just made me negative and didn't want to play for South Africa anymore. And she said, "You got one more series in you." I know you
So
haven't.
the missus stepped up and said,
And that was,
Dino, here we go.
yeah, and I said to her in the beginning, I said, I don't know if I have energy for this. I just don't know if I have it. And it took me
Physical or mental?
No, I think it
energy?
was more mental. Physically, I think I'm the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
But mentally, I was a bit drained and just maybe had enough. And it took me maybe 2.5 months, 3 months to actually wrap my mind around making myself available for that. And
was that conversations you had with close friends and teammates or something? Or was it just something you kept within your sort of circle of trust?
No, it was very much my decision.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who I would have spoken to.
Sure.
It was for me to just change that decision mentally.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then when she mentioned that it's Centurion and Newlands, then I thought, yeah, maybe I do have one more in me.
Yeah.
And like I said, it took a couple of months to get myself up for it. Knowing that I have to go back and play domestic cricket and really put out big performances. I just had a 5-month break in the winter, which started April to September, which I had to get through that period, which maybe doesn't help. It didn't help, but it maybe helped for me going back to my older ways of tapping into the mental side of things and just kind of like getting over things and like harden up, find a way and harden up and get through it. You've got 2 more tests at your 2 grounds and you can go out with a bang, potentially. If you don't go out with a bang, it is what it is. At least you can finish it in Cape Town and happy days.
Yeah. Take me to that toughen up sort of thing. Like you took the 5 months. Was that a case of like, do you have someone like a sports psychologist, or is it a case of soul searching? Is it a process driven sort of thing that you do internally, or maybe just share that with me?
So my whole so that 5-month period last year winter, I was waiting for a county gig to come through, and every time something was on the table, it fell through.
Okay.
It was maybe 2 or 3 occasions that there was something on the table and it fell through. So throughout that period, call it 5 months, I still was going to gym. I didn't physically pick up a bat and bat. I didn't want to do that, but I still had to go to gym and I still had to push myself, get myself out of bed to go through that phase to make sure I'm physically
that's tough, eh?
to make sure I'm physically ready. In case my phone rings and says, listen, Dean, we need you in 2 weeks to come and draw some county cricket. So I did that for 5 months and nothing happened. So that's
you
like
checked out basically.
In
a way.
I did check out.
Yeah.
I definitely did check out by the first week of March last year. I definitely checked out, knowing that I'll never play for South Africa again, which is something that people don't know.
Yeah.
Only my friends and my family know this. And
there's a few more people that know now.
no, they'll know now because you got 20 million followers, don't you?
Almost.
But I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people don't know that you have to go through as a pro cricketer or a professional sports person.
Yeah.
So I think that 5-month period definitely helped me as well, because I was pushing my body through something that I hadn't really done, because a winter period I would have been busy. I would have either been playing county cricket or a test tour or something like that. So you're always like on the go.
Yeah.
Now it's 5 months. Now you're sitting at home.
No test cricket.
Nothing, zero. The fixtures were unreal. Absolute dog show. And that 5-month period, obviously you got to tap into the mental side. That's like, you think, you know what, it's left, but actually it is there. You just got to really ask yourself the hard questions.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch and like you're thinking, am I going to get another gig? Like I'm waiting, get a phone call that falls through. So you go through that whole up and down scenario. But one thing I've always kept myself in check with regards to my physical fitness. And I mean, I'm maybe a little bit heavier now than I was, but I'm 36
Still,
and I've been doing this for a long time. But still, that's the one thing that you can control as a professional sports person, is still keeping yourself in check with regards to your physical look and what you can put out with regards to your physical ability. So I think even just focusing on that kind of helped me make a decision that was cricket related.
Yeah.
And that 5-month period wasn't cricket related. It was purely you related
Yeah.
and your standards and your goals that you want to try and achieve going forward. Because, I mean, in that period, those things shift because you don't know if you're coming or going. So those things shift all the time. So yeah, it was maybe that kind of helped me make that decision in the season. It was even just to play for the Titans at that time, which was really tough for me to get up and wake up and go to training and actually put yourself through that, knowing that, you know what, I might not even be playing ever again for South Africa. And but still, then you got to look at yourself like, do you want to influence the Titans?
Absolutely.
Which I've always been a big fan of.
Yeah.
And the Titans have been great for me. So for me, this was my time to influence the Titans as a cricketer.
And give back.
Yeah. And influence the younger guys and show them, listen, this is the standards that you have to live by if you want to wear this badge.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Titans badge or the Lions badge or the Proteas badge, this is the standards that you have to uphold by yourself. And I think it's the best domestic season I've ever had. I think I scored 600s for them in 7 games or something. Exactly. I was on fire. But I think I was playing with so much clarity as well. There was no cloud that was overshadowing my personal pride that I could put towards the group.
Has that cloud been around for a while? Because we keep saying 86 test matches. I mean, captaincy, the March 21, right? March 2021?
I don't know, but lots happened since then.
Yeah, I think it was around there when you were announced as test captain, which I'm sure was a dream come true in a way. Because for me, that sort of journey from under 18, under 19 to test captain all kind of makes sense. It must be in a special moment for you.
I think you can't get a bigger honor in your career than to captain your country, but specifically at Test cricket. I don't think you can get a bigger honor. I think I should have done it earlier when they gave it to Quinny, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's it's a massive honor. But I think I didn't enjoy it. Honestly, I didn't really enjoy it.
Was it more the off-field than the on-field? Because
so much off-field.
On-field, I imagine the strategy, how to work players out, field placing.
But that's what you get paid for.
Absolutely.
That's what you get paid to do.
You know?
For me, that's a pleasure.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the best cricketers in the country. They also want to win. Yeah. They've got pride in their performance. So for me, the on-field stuff was a breeze.
Yeah.
Results doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the result was. For me, that's a breeze. Because those guys they wake up and they want to do the same thing as what you want to do. They want to represent and they want to go out and do well for themselves.
Yeah,
and they want to win.
And they're giving 120%.
But the biggest thing is they all want to win.
Yeah.
So I did have that mantra of, I don't care how it looks, we all thinking win.
Yeah.
And if we lose, it's also okay.
Yeah.
But if you're not playing a certain way or you're not giving your all and then we lose, then the questions are going to be asked, what's going on?
Yeah.
But for me, that was a pleasure to have those guys around because they all had the same mentality of the win mentality.
Yeah.
And that was the breeze of being the captain. For me, that again, it was very easy to get over the line, and we did pretty well as well in that phase. Sure, you lose an odd series here and then. I mean, that happens in the game. If you win everything, then you shouldn't be playing this game because I think you should lose. You should lose things to make you better. Failure is part of the journey. But the off-field stuff was just that was a massive cloud, and I think just at that time there was a lot of instability around South African cricket at that time. Myself, I took a lot on board.
Yeah.
And if I look back at it now, I shouldn't have done that. It would have. It's very difficult because I want to make an environment as great for not just me but for my teammates.
Yeah.
And that was ultimately why I took on that burden. And I call it a burden because it was.
Yeah.
Because I think you wipe the shit out of your eyes and you've missed 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, remember that? And you're like, geez, I can't remember that because I spent so much energy on something else that potentially was always never going to work out.
Yeah.
So what's the use of doing that? But again, you only have to go through that to realize your limitations.
Previous to the captaincy, obviously playing Test match cricket for South Africa, that must have been quite a thrill. You know what I mean? Like opening the batting, walking out. I know you and I have spoken many times about walking down like at a Super Sport park, what you're kind of going through your mind, but there must be butterflies, nerves, knowing you're facing the best in the world. The Test cricket is the best in the world versus the best in the world most of the time, especially on skills. That must be quite the thrill walking out to bat at a packed stadium, Test match, day one, morning of the first day.
Yeah.
It must be something surreal.
Yeah, I think you don't get bigger or better than that. I've never played in the IPL, but I think a lot of guys speak of playing in front of the packed houses.
Yeah.
They maybe get a similar feeling, but it's not near the same as Test cricket. But I think that starts like 3 or 4 days prior to that match actually starting. So you have your days of practice and your preparation. So you almost have to live every single training session like it's going to be of what the game's going to potentially be like. Yeah, it's maybe the one thing that I'll miss out of the game. I'll miss that. Just the whole competitive edge around what the Test game brings. Also sharing great moments with the teammates when they score 100 or take a 5-4 or 10-4 in a Test. Those kind of moments are the ones that will be missed out. But for me, walking down the stairs, you're being given an opportunity and a responsibility not to let down your peers. Because those guys came in talking about your Smiths, Callises, De Villiers, Amlas, Cullinans, Kirstens, Cronjes, just to name a few. Those guys have created that environment that you have to still carry forward. So for me, that was a great pressure out of that. And I mean, those guys' records are crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, it's like, you can't cock this up now because those guys have worked 15 years to get this this badge in a position of power in the world, and it's your responsibility to drive it forward.
Yeah.
For me, that was the greater pressure. But I mean, until you succeed, then it's like such a worthwhile pressure. But in saying that, it doesn't happen in a month. It's like a 10-year journey. That's what you don't realize. You live so much in the now, especially when you're younger. You don't actually realize that you can fail and you can still produce the goods 10 years, 8, 10, 12, 14 years down the line. You can still produce the goods and keep what those legends of the game have left you. You can still keep running with that and leaving it in a good space.
Part of the Proteas legacy, new part of that. History will say for the rest of time, Dean Elgar, 86 Test matches, captained the team. 1400s, left a few out there.
It's also going to tell me that I was the 28th dickhead to get a pair on debut.
You said it, not me. But
I'm allowed to say that.
Let's talk about your debut, because you've actually got that famous cap here that I asked you to bring with your Ford Escort from Pretoria. So that's what 86, just hold up to the camera if you can. That's what 86 Test matches looks like. Wow. It's seen some stuff, my man.
Yeah, this thing's been...
Who gave you your cap on debut?
Graham.
Okay.
So Alan Donnell gave me my first one-day cap.
Okay.
When we played the England series in England, he gave me that. And Graham gave me this one the eve of my debut. The infamous debut Perth. In Perth, yeah, and I've only missed two games.
Yeah,
2 tests and one. It was the series in West Indies, my first series as captain. I couldn't find this thing. It was in my garage, and I couldn't find it. Yeah, I couldn't find it, and I was like, where have I lost this thing? And and the next day, we played the series. I played it in a new cap. And the day I got home from the West Indies, I found it in my garage.
So what's the plan now for that? Let's say wear and tear is maybe an understatement, because that thing has seen some shit.
It has, and the thing is, I took this off, so this got a place in my bar on one of my trophies that I have.
Can I touch it?
Yeah,
I know it's like priceless, but I mean,
the thing is,
it's not going to fall apart.
It's actually, so
Damn,
yesterday
man.
when I took it off, it was like stiff. It had absolutely no flexibility in it whatsoever.
Wow, that's amazing though, bud.
And
Congrats.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
and yeah, it's like I say, it's only missed 2 games. And thing is, also, I've never, like, I wasn't a big floppy, the white brim. I was never a big believer in fielding with that, because I was like, you work your arse off to get this cap,
exactly,
and then you replace it with a white brim cap. I mean, I was like, that just doesn't make sense. And I think I did that once in Sri Lanka, where I wore the brim for like a session. It was
like 58 degrees.
Yeah, and 400% humidity as well. And I was like, you from now on, you only wear this, irrespective if you get skin cancer or not.
Yeah,
you wear this cap.
Top of the ears.
Like I said, you work your arse off in domestic cricket and playing A-side cricket to get one of these,
taking shots,
and then you bin it for a white brim. I mean, I don't get it. But yeah, this thing's been it's been amazing, and if it wasn't for having this cap, I wouldn't have what I have today.
Yeah. I've got to ask you, so the relationship with CSA could be better.
Between who?
No, I'm saying as a former player now, as a former international player, obviously you spoke about the cloud, the uncertainty. I know you were kind of like nudged, if that's the right word, towards the end of your career, or was it a case of, I've got to get through these 2 tests regardless, and then they slap the captaincy back on you? You know what I mean? Like,
I'll tell you a scary thing, yes, which only a handful of people know. I wasn't supposed to play the Indian series.
Really? Even though you were available, they knew that this was the swan song of
They didn't know.
a loyal servant to South African cricket.
They didn't know that it was going to be my last series.
Oh, I see.
They found out it was going to be my last series when I found out that I wasn't going to be picked for the Indian series.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And my character is one of, on the field I fight.
Yeah.
I'll fight for my teammates, I'll fight for myself. And that was the opportunity. I was put in the corner and I fought. And I said, I think I deserve this.
Yeah.
And yeah, long story short, got those 2 games, but also had to captain 1.5 tests.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Thames got injured, which is never ideal for us. But yeah, there we go. He has go save us again, which is a little bit of a contradictory kind of scenario. But yeah, that was also things that I had to deal with behind the scenes. But again, I think it made me kind of that character that I've always been, especially in the Centurion game.
Tenacious, dogged, I think all those things, man.
Yeah.
Brave. I think, looking at your next sort of, before we get to the Essex, and congrats on the gig. I think what that county has done, you're replacing a guy, I think he's a knight, Alistair Cook.
Yeah.
You might have heard of him, a decent cricketer.
Yeah, he did okay.
Gun cricketer.
Yeah.
But you recently caused quite a stir in India with your comments around he's a god in India, Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
But you've also set the record straight that it wasn't as, there was animosity for a bit and then it was sorted. So can you maybe just like clarify exactly? Because you're going to be asked this a lot of times.
I think that was yet just another situation of people being oversensitive and absolutely blowing it out of proportion because
we're speaking about the Virat Kohli.
Because I did end it by saying that if we look back at it now, we'd laugh about it.
Yeah.
And because I think where we sit now, we actually got a pretty good relationship considering what happened. But I look at it now since I said it, and I maybe look back at it and I shouldn't have said what I said, but it was yet again just a story.
Sure.
And I think everyone misses the latter part of that interview where I actually clarify about we actually in good terms,
Yeah.
and we sit around the same table now, and we can have a laugh, and we get along like a house on fire. And
Was it a heat of the moment?
it was a heat of the moment.
That's the height of Test cricket. It's
It
two
is.
top nations,
It is.
and Virat wants to win just as badly as you do, if not more.
It's probably got the two most competitive guys going head to head.
That's what you want in Test cricket.
in the battle.
Yeah.
And also, you can definitely read into it incorrectly in that moment. But as time goes by, I mean, you actually realize, it's just part of the.
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to win here. We under the pump here in India, and we're getting cleaned
Not
up
the
here.
easiest place to play.
I'm gonna find another fighting level that I have within me. I'm gonna find it, and if someone does something to stop me from going through my character, then I'm gonna lash out a little bit.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. It happened. But again, people only see or hear
The headline.
The headline.
Yeah.
And I know that's journalism as well. Been around a lot of media things where they're looking for a headline. And for me, it was by no means ever to make him a horrible person, because I know he's definitely not a horrible person. He's a great oak.
Yeah.
He's as competitive as what I am, and
Yeah,
we want to win. I'm a massive fan of his.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it is what it is. It happened, and I mean, we made peace. We made peace long ago. After that,
No, look, I think what I enjoyed was the honesty and the. We can get you some more coffee if you want. It's pretty decent beans out here.
Thanks.
The honesty that you have also brought throughout your career. Every time I've interviewed you, I found that there was always a sense of honesty, that you didn't beat around the bush too much. Obviously, you kept what you had to keep behind the scenes. But, I've always found you as being like refreshingly honest. And that's said with all due respect to other athletes that I've interviewed. But throughout the career, I've really felt that you've given us great value in terms of what you do on the field and off the field.
I think if you're not honest, you kind of let yourself down. I'm not a sheepish person. I don't do things behind your back. If I don't like what you're doing, I'll tell you, listen, I don't think what you're doing is correct. And if I'm not doing something, I want you to say to me, listen, Dean, I don't think you're doing this well. And that's all part of the journey, and it's all part of growth, and it's just part of being a bloody adult, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't do things behind people's back. But I think being honest creates a lot of trust, especially in a professional cricketing side. You need that.
Yeah.
You need honesty and you need trust. The minute you have those, the respect factor is going to be, it's there already. It's going to be set in stone, and you know this person's doing this for the right reasons, and they're not doing it to try and screw you over. I'm not a screw you over kind of person. I'm definitely not that. But my honesty has always been my strongest characteristic, because I don't want people to second guess.
Yeah.
Even with the captaincy thing, be honest with your players. Like if they're shit, then say, hey, that's not good enough.
Standard.
It's not good enough.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had guys around me that they know that. So I think over the years of me playing with them as just a player, that was already set in stone.
Yeah.
They knew what they're going to get. If I went the other route, then, I mean, what does that create? It just is total cluster.
Yeah.
And you're not going to achieve anything, and you're not going to have those guys. They're not going to rally around you, and I think the respect factor is just going to go out the window because they don't trust you because you're being dishonest. So yeah, that's me, and I think that's always been me. It's always been my nature since I was a kid. It's maybe when I was younger, maybe I wasn't the favorite friend, but it's because I was me.
Yeah.
I was just being me, and
that's just part of who you are.
And I don't have to. I definitely don't have to apologize for being too honest. I mean, I've never come across. Sorry, I just.
But you call people out if they need to be called out,
and if they're great, I will worship them.
Yeah.
For them for being great.
Yeah.
I will 100% do that. But for me, being an adult in a professional world, in a professional team, you want to be the best in the world. You got to have those basics, and for me, that's a basic, not just from a cricketing point of view. That's a basic to life.
Yeah.
And I think South Africans in general, they tend to shy away from that now because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. But you got to understand the personnel that you're being honest with.
Yeah.
You got to know, like, we've got a relationship here, and we might disagree to it, and that's 100% fine.
Yeah.
But look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the team.
Yes.
And you got to do everything that you can to make this team great. But if you let yourself down and you don't have that relationship with your teammate, then you're never going to achieve anything.
We're going to have to wrap it up. I could talk to you for hours. The next chapter, Essex, you must be excited. I know a guy like Simon Harmer has done a phenomenal job there. He's starting in as one of the senior players. He's coming in. You must be excited at this sort of next chapter.
Yeah, it's I think if I look back, well, when I started my career, I've always wanted to end playing county cricket.
Okay.
I've had obviously the opportunity to play county cricket throughout.
2018 with Surrey, you guys were champions, right?
Yeah, so I've done 6 individual stints with different counties, but I've always wanted to end playing county cricket. I mean, sure, yes, it is quite nice for the pocket. Don't get me wrong. At 24-1, it's awesome.
That's fantastic.
It's very nice, but I've always wanted to go back there because my family live there. So I've always wanted to go back and play, and I know county cricket brings the best out of me. It's tough. It's ruthless. The weather's crap. You live by yourself in a shoebox. You got to walk to a ground. If you don't have a car, you catch a train. So for me, it's not just about the cricket. It's about the experience. 36 now, still a lot to learn as a human being. Want to get better as a human being, because I think when you play international cricket, you're so set in your own ways, you tend to forget about the rest that's with you. So for me, this is all about the 3 years that I can give to this team, to Essex, and come back a better person. And along the way, the journey, I'm definitely going to become a better cricketer.
And coaching?
Sure. It's don't know, eh? I've been asked this quite a few times if I may be interested in that. I'm going to struggle to be able to fully commit to being a coach.
Okay.
For me, it's about all or nothing. You balls deep or you're not.
Yeah.
That's it. For me, if I can't commit 100% to that group that I'm going to be influencing, because that's essentially what a coach has to do.
Yeah.
You have to influence. I'm going to find it very difficult to do if I can't do it wholeheartedly. Maybe after the 3 years at Essex, you're going to have to find another venture in life, and maybe it's that, and maybe it's commentary, or maybe it's whatever the case is. But currently now, I don't see it as something that I'll be interested in, because I still want to be Dean the cricketer.
Sure.
And then come home and be Dean the family guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? Certain things might come falling on your table, and you got to make a decision. I'm pretty sure there might be something coming up with the Titans. Who knows? I might still be a player. I might not be.
I see LB Morkel's just joined there.
Yeah, the Albertus has joined the ranks here now. And who knows? That might come across and they say, "Listen, are you keen to still play for us?" And who knows?
Well, I think never say never in this game. I think you'll be a phenomenal commentator and analyst. I personally think that's where the value lies, although you've got incredible IP to give to the game. Congrats on a stellar career. You've been a wonderful servant to the game, and I think you can rest that cap proudly in your bar knowing you did everything you could for this country.
Yeah, and I can say the cap has it's had enough beer and whiskey and brandy on it, and I think it also deserves a place in the bar.
Absolutely. Dean Elgar, it's been an absolute pleasure, and yeah, man, all the best in Essex, and I hope you score a bucket load of runs.
Thanks, yes. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Thanks to our partners at Betway. Please check out betway.co.za for more, and Betway Scores app for all the scores of the sporting action. We'll catch you again next time.